Would you believe me if I told you there are animals whose bodily excretions are worth over 100 times more than gold? Yeah, you heard that right. Animal excretions far more valuable than gold. So who are these animals, and just how much are they worth? Check it out. For instance, there is scorpion venom. Yes, it's deadly, but contains complex chemicals that can aid in different types of research. One of those chemicals, chlorotoxins, binds to brain and spine cancer, so they can be used to locate tumors and identify how large they are. Another chemical found in scorpion venom, chaliotoxin, has been used in experiments to treat bone diseases in rats and is hoped to one day be used to treat humans. There could be a lot of other uses too that we have yet to discover, simply because harvesting the chemical was painstakingly difficult until the recent advent of a machine that makes harvesting hard instead of excruciatingly hard. The process is still slow going though. Even with recent advances in the automation of venom milking, it can still only be done in small amounts and infrequently. That does mean that their venom, when harvested, can go for $8,000 per gram, which is a whopping $39 million per gallon. The truth is, while it's slow to harvest, the science isn't fast either. So chances are, if you somehow got your hands on a gallon of scorpion venom, you probably couldn't sell it. But hey, if you have a scorpion milking machine lying around, I'm not going to shame you. Scorpions may be rare in their ability to produce ultra-expensive secretions, but they're not actually alone. In a similar instance of prices being driven up by the difficulty of obtaining, we have horseshoe crab blood. Horseshoe crab blood is highly sought after because it's an essential ingredient in certain medical tests due to its unique properties. The crab's amoebocyte, the invertebrate's equivalent to a white blood cell, is used to detect bacterial endotoxins on medical tools and apparatus. Detecting the endotoxins is essential since even small amounts on medical devices can be deadly. The horseshoe crab is the only known source of the natural amoebocyte. When it comes to the ethics of harvesting the horseshoe crab blood, there are arguments to be made. The crabs are not killed when they're bled and are returned to the sea, but the stress of transport and bleeding is said to have a mortality rate of 10% to 30%, not to mention that there are serious doubts about whether companies return the crabs to the sea at all, instead of selling them as bait to fisheries. All that said, the usefulness and singular source of the blood means it sells for a very high price, going for $60,000 per gallon. Chump change compared to scorpion venom, but in much higher demand. Economics is weird. While synthetic alternatives have been produced to replicate this effect and are utilized in Europe, the American Pharmacopoeia says the safety of synthetics has not been proven. So while harvesting has been on the decline since the 1980s, chances are it isn't gone for good. The second most valuable animal liquid in the world is also in much higher demand than scorpion venom, by comparison, but it does sell for a lot lower. Don't get me wrong, it's still a crap ton of money, it's just not scorpion milking money. I'm talking about the semen of thoroughbred horses, of course. What else? 1 gallon of semen from a proven winner is worth $4.7 million. That means during one breeding session, a fertile male can produce over $20 million worth of semen. The semen is usually sold in small packages called straws for around $1,200, and then a horse breeder can turn around and sell the offspring of that straw for $100,000. Not a bad investment, right? Guess it takes money to make money, as well as knowing people who are willing to pay over $1,000 for horse semen, so connections help. Not all of the expensive animal products in the world are related to medical research and breeding. Some are sought after by gourmets. Much like the truffle, the harder it is to get your hands on, the more people are willing to pay to eat it. Actually, that's probably true about almost anything. For instance, the most expensive coffee in the world is actually an animal byproduct. Coffee? That's a plant, a bean. Well, a fruit, actually. And the most expensive coffee is Kopi Luwak, also known as civet coffee. It's called civet coffee because it's made from the beans found in the fecal matter of the palm civet. A civet is kind of what you get if you crossed a cat with a weasel, and this coffee is made from harvesting their poop. A palm civet is called a palm civet because it likes the sap found in the palm flower, which can be made into liquor. The civet is an absolute magnet for attracting plants made into human beverages. Experts in this particular delicacy believe that the process improves the coffee because of two specific factors. First, Civets will only eat the very best of the coffee fruit, thus they are selecting the best of the beans. Second, that the digestive process of the civet puts the beans through a special process, and this drastically alters the flavor of the beans. Now that's assuming you're drinking wild harvest Kopi Luwak. There are places that farm the civets and feed them the berries. This not only makes them less discerning about the fruit they're eating, but more importantly, there are some rather dubious ethical claims about force-feeding animals for financial motivations. Where there's money to be made, though, people will follow. Poop coffee may not sound super appealing to you, but it goes for about $1,300 a pound. That makes for an $80 cup of coffee, assuming you don't have anything else in it. With a nice cream and sugar, nothing fancy, maybe $82.50. I guess coffee people say that you aren't supposed to put anything in Kopi Luwak coffee or you could ruin it. But they already put the coffee in a live animal, so I might say the experts are full of it on this one. Full of Kopi Luwak coffee, which comes out of an animal's butt. Poop-adjacent beverages not your cup of coffee? Well, why don't we go to the other end of things and have ourselves some bird's nest soup? Bird's nest soup? That sounds a little rough, but mostly harmless, says the average person who, like myself, is very naive about birds. Turns out birds' nests aren't all made from twigs and grass, which, if you think about it, are pretty typical soup ingredients. The swiftling nest is, in fact, almost entirely made from the bird's saliva, which is thick like glue and then hardens to form the structure of the nest. When soaked in water, the nest creates a very specific texture that is considered a Chinese delicacy that, luckily enough for the nest farmers and harvesters, needs to be served in large quantities to be fully appreciated. While some people have taken to commercially farming swiftlings for their nests, they are still rare in comparison to their demand, not to mention that harvesting the nests has proven to be rather dangerous, as the swifting likes to nest on high cliffs, probably because people keep stealing their nests and eating them. One way or the other, a single bowl of bird's nest soup can easily set you back up to $100. The texture is supposed to be wholly unique though, sometimes described as being somewhat thick or gluey. So it may be worth trying some if you ever get the opportunity. I personally think you should try anything once, but if you're shy about dropping $100 on a bowl of soup, then I could hardly blame you. Those are some of the most expensive products you can harvest from animals. Did we miss anything that you think we should talk about in a future video? Any expensive fluids or even solids that are way cooler than we gave credit? Or do you just have some interesting financial animal anecdotes? Maybe you sold one of your dog's gallstones. I don't know, but I'm certainly curious. Feel free to tell me about it in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe for more interesting facts and live stock trading tips. That's okay. I think I'm funny.